Pressure does not reveal weakness, it reveals truth. When the mind trembles, the body follows. When fear speaks, discipline is tested. And when chaos surrounds you, only one question matters: who commands your inner state? Long before modern psychology named stress, anxiety, and performance breakdowns, ancient warriors faced the same enemy: the unstable mind under pressure. On battlefields soaked in uncertainty, hesitation meant death. Panic meant defeat, and calm meant survival. Miyamoto Musashi did not conquer because he was faster, stronger, or more motivated. He conquered because nothing inside him moved when everything outside did. This is not a story about swords. It is a parable about presence under fire. A young warrior arrives at a mountain dojo seeking strength. What he finds instead is silence, stillness, fear stripped of distraction. Under the guidance of a master shaped by the Musashi tradition, he learns a brutal truth: pressure is not the enemy, attachment is. Through discipline, repetition, and ruthless self-observation, the warrior is rebuilt. Ego is dismantled, fear is studied, calm is forged. This is the unbreakable warrior system. Not motivation, not hype, but absolute command over the self. And once mastered, no moment, no opponent, no crisis can shake you again. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and share so I can keep bringing you great content. Chapter 1. The warrior who sought control the mountain did not welcome him. Mist clung to the stone path as the young warrior climbed toward the dojo, carved into the cliffs. Each step was fast, almost rushed, as if speed itself could prove worth. His breath was sharp and patient. In his mind, strength was movement. Strike, advance, dominate. Stillness felt like delay, and delay felt like weakness. He arrived before dawn. The courtyard was empty except for one figure. The master stood beneath an ancient cedar, unmoving. No weapon, no armor, just presence. His stillness felt heavier than steel. The warrior bowed quickly, already eager to begin. "I am ready," he said. "Attest me." The master did not answer immediately. He walked to the weapons rack, rested his hand on the hilts, then closed the doors without selecting a single blade. "No weapons today." The words struck harder than expected. The warrior frowned. "How can I demonstrate my skill?" The master turned slowly. "If your skill requires demonstration, it is not yet yours." Silence followed, thick, uncomfortable. The master gestured to the open courtyard. Resistance surged. Sitting was not training. Sitting did not earn respect. But obedience pulled stronger than pride. The warrior lowered himself to the cold stone, crossing his legs, placing his hands on his knees. Within moments, discomfort arose. His legs tightened, his shoulders tensed, his jaw clenched. The mind began to race ahead. Imagine duels, imagine victories, imagine failure. And stillness felt like being trapped inside his own skin. Minutes stretched, time slowed. Thoughts sharpened into accusations. "You are wasting time. Others are advancing while you remain still." Strength fades when unused. Fear crept in quietly, disguised as urgency. The master circled him slowly. "You seek control," he said calmly, "yet you cannot command your own breath." The warrior inhaled sharply, then exhaled too fast. His chest felt tight. His thoughts scattered further. "I have faced pressure," the warrior replied, frustration leaking through his voice. The master stopped in front of him. "You have reacted under pressure," he said. "You have not remained unmoved within it." The distinction cut deep. Reaction was familiar. Reaction was instinct. Control was something else entirely. Hours passed without instruction. The warrior's body trembled, not from exertion, but from restraint. The mind screamed louder than muscles ever have. With nothing to attack, fear surfaced clearly. Fear of inadequacy, fear of being exposed without action to hide behind. This realization unsettled him. By midday, exhaustion softened resistance. His breathing slowed, not by command, but by surrender. In that slowing, awareness began to emerge. He noticed tension before it erupted. He noticed thoughts arise and fade. He noticed the urge to escape and remain. The master spoke again. "A pressure does not come from the world," he said. "It comes from resistance to the moment you are in." The words settled slowly, like sediment sinking in water. The warrior understood something painful. His hunger for control had revealed how little control he possessed. Strength built on impulse fractured under stillness. Skill without inner command scattered under silence. The day continued with silent tasks: sweeping the courtyard, arranging stones, carrying water. Each movement slow, deliberate, stripped of urgency. No praise followed. No correction came. Only repetition. At first, humiliation burned. Then something shifted. The body moved. The mind followed. For brief moments, they aligned. As evening fell, lanterns flickered to life. The warrior sat again beneath the cedar, breath steady, gaze lowered. The master knelt beside him. Motivation fades, the master said quietly. Discipline remains. The warrior who waits to feel ready will never be ready. The warrior nodded, not from obedience, but from recognition. He had come seeking control over combat. Instead, he had encountered the battlefield within. For the first time, he understood. True mastery was not forged in motion, but in stillness under discomfort. And the path ahead would demand something far greater than strength. It would demand command of self. Morning arrived without announcement. No bell rang. No command was given. The mountain simply breathed, and the warrior woke. His body felt stiff from the previous day's stillness, but something else had changed. The urgency that once drove him forward had dulled, replaced by a quiet unease. Subtle, persistent. The master was already waiting. And today, he said, "You will not move." They entered a narrow hall carved from stone. No windows, no decoration, just a smooth floor and bare walls that swallowed sound. The master pointed to the center. "A sit." The warrior obeyed. At first he felt confident. Yesterday had not broken him. He believed endurance alone would carry him through. Minutes passed, then more, with no tasks, no movement, no distraction. The mind turned inward like a blade folding back on its owner. Fear surfaced. Not dramatic fear. This fear was quieter and far more dangerous. It whispered doubts instead of shouting threats. What if I am not enough? What if calm makes me weak? What if stillness steals my edge? His breath tightened. His chest felt heavy. The instinct to adjust, to escape, to act surged. The master's voice cut through the tension. "Done a fight." The warrior opened his eyes slightly. "Fight what?" "A fear," the master replied. "You mistake resistance for strength." The words unsettled him. "I thought warriors overcome fear." The master shook his head. "They observe it." Silence returned. The warrior focused on his breathing as instructed. Slow inhale through the nose, long exhale through the mouth. At first it felt mechanical, then difficult, then revealing. Every shallow breath fed tension. Every controlled exhale softened it. Fear did not vanish, but it changed shape. He noticed how fear accelerated thoughts, how it pushed the mind toward imagined futures, how distraction was born not from noise outside, but turbulence within. The master spoke again calmly. "A fear is not an enemy. It is a signal. It shows where the mind is untrained." Hours passed. Fast. The warrior's legs burned. His back ached. Yet the deeper struggle was mental. Each urge to move, each flicker of panic, became an object of observation instead of reaction. Something subtle happened. When he stopped labeling fear as weakness, it lost its authority. When he stopped chasing comfort, discomfort softened. Presence began to replace panic. The master explained, Musashi taught that the mind must remain the same in calm and in chaos, not numb, not detached. Korko, modern language would call it regulation. The ancient system called it mastery. As the afternoon light shifted, the warrior noticed his awareness sharpening. Sounds became clearer, sensations more precise. The mind, once scattered, now gathered itself naturally when left undisturbed. Fear still appeared, but it no longer commanded him. By evening, the master returned. "What did you face?" The warrior answered honestly, "Myself, without armor." The master nodded. Good. Silence removes disguise. Under pressure, what remains is truth." That night, the warrior slept deeply, not because he was exhausted, but because his mind was no longer fighting itself. For the first time, he understood that calm was not the absence of fear. It was command within it. The days that followed felt smaller. No trials, no revelation, no dramatic instruction, only repetition. At dawn, the warrior was given a broom, not a blade. He swept the courtyard slowly, deliberately, until every grain of dust was gathered. When finished, he was told to start again. At midday, he carried water from the stream to the kitchen, one bucket at a time. At sunset, he cleaned the hall, aligned sandals, repaired loose stones along the path. No praise came, no correction either. The master watched from a distance, saying nothing. At first, irritation dominated the warrior's mind. His body was capable of far more. His skill was being wasted on tasks a child could do. Each movement felt like an insult to his ambition. "This is not training," his ego whispered. "This is stagnation." Yet quitting was not an option. The discipline of silence had already taught him that resistance only sharpened discomfort. So he worked, and slowly, something uncomfortable revealed itself. His effort was inconsistent. When he felt focused, movements were smooth. When boredom crept in, his posture collapsed. When frustration rose, precision disappeared. His performance depended entirely on his emotional state. The master spoke that evening. You act well when you feel aligned. You act poorly when you do not. That is not strength. The warrior frowned. Then what is? Yin without emotion, the master replied. The word struck harder than any blow. The master explained that most men mistake motivation for discipline. They wait to feel ready, confident, inspired. But emotion is unstable. It rises and falls without permission. To build mastery on emotion is to build on sand. Musashi wrote that a warrior must act the same whether tired or fresh, praised or ignored, calm or under pressure. Consistency was the weapon. The following morning, the warrior returned to his tasks with a different intention. He no longer tried to enjoy them. He did not resist them either. He simply performed them as required. Something unexpected happened. Without emotional commentary, attention sharpened. Each sweep of the broom became exact, each step measured. The mind stopped asking why and focused entirely on how. Time changed texture. Hours passed without friction. There was no excitement, but there was no suffering either. Just action, clean and complete. The master observed. This is Muno Kokoro, he said, the empty heart. Not empty of care, but empty of self. The warrior understood. Ego demanded recognition. Ego needed progress to feel important. When ego was removed, the task remained, and the task required presence. Modern science would call this flow. The ancient systems simply called it correct action. Days turned into a pattern of quiet labor. The warrior noticed something profound. Distraction weakened when emotion was irrelevant. When there was no desire to escape the moment, attention stayed anchored. Discipline was no longer forceful. It was natural. One afternoon, exhaustion set in. Muscles ached. Focus blurred. The old impulse returned. Not today. Tomorrow I'll do better. The master appeared as if summoned by the thought. But do not negotiate with your state, he said calmly. The states change, the path does not. The warrior continued, not with passion, not with frustration, with obedience to the task itself. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains, the warrior felt a quiet pride, but not the loud kind he once chased. This pride was silent, grounded, internal. He realized discipline was not harshness. It was clarity. It removed drama. It removed excuses. It removed dependence on feeling strong. Strength, he learned, was reliability. By the end of the week, his presence was different. Stillness followed him, even in motion. Emotion passed through him without dictating action. He was no longer driven by how he felt. He was governed by what must be done. And in that neutrality, something unbreakable began to form. The storm arrived without warning. By late afternoon, clouds gathered low over the mountain, heavy and unmoving, pressing against the peaks like an unspoken test. Wind cut through the pine trees with a sharp, restless hiss. The dojo fell into an unnatural quiet, as if the land itself had withdrawn its breath. The master summoned the warrior with a single motion of his hand. No explanation followed. They walked in silence to a stone chamber set apart from the training grounds. Its walls were thick, weathered, scarred by decades of storms and solitude. Inside waited only a woven mat, a dim lantern, and darkness pooled along the edges of the room. Sit, the master said. The warrior obeyed. The door closed behind him. Thunder split the sky. The sound struck the stone and echoed through his chest. Rain followed, relentless and heavy, drumming against the roof. The lantern flickered, shadows stretching and collapsing with each tremor of light. There was no task, no guidance, no end promised, only pressure. At first, the warrior tried to apply discipline deliberately, spine straight, breath slow, attention anchored. But pressure does not challenge effort. It challenges endurance. Minutes blurred into something heavier. Cold crept into his joints. Muscles tightened without movement. Mind, denied distraction, turned inward. What if this breaks me? What if I fail here? What if calm is only something I pretend to have? Fear did not arrive as panic. It arrived as doubt. The warrior noticed something crucial. The storm was not creating fear. The storm was only revealing it. Fear lived in resistance. Resistance to uncertainty, to discomfort, to the loss of control. He remembered the master's earlier words. Pressure is not imposed by the world. It is created by the mind that refuses to accept the moment. He did not chase stillness. He allowed sensation to exist without judgment. Breath slowed naturally, no longer forced. Shoulders dropped. The body adjusted, not in surrender, but in alignment. Hours passed. Fatigue arrived next, heavy and persuasive. The mind searched for escape. Memories of past victories, imagined futures where this trial proved his worth. Each image carried emotion. Each emotion tightened the chest. Then awareness intervened. He observed the pattern clearly. That created tension. Tension narrowed perception. Narrow perception amplified fear. The moment he saw this, the chain weakened. Ancient discipline called this mastery of attention. Modern science would call it metacognition, the ability to observe the mind without being pulled into it. The label did not matter. The effect did. Another thunderclap crashed directly overhead. The lantern sputtered, nearly extinguished. Fear surged, sharp and physical, tightening the stomach, quickening the pulse. But this time, it did not command him. He did not flinch. He did not contract. He remained. Calm revealed itself not as comfort, but as control. Fear still existed. The storm still raged. Yet neither dictated his response. Time dissolved further. The sound of rain softened into background rhythm. The body grew heavy with stillness, unmoving yet alert. Sensations passed through awareness and left without residue. Near dawn, the door opened. The master entered without sound. He studied the warrior quietly, not searching for triumph or weakness, but for stability. "You did not defeat the storm," the master said. "You outlasted your reaction to it." The warrior lowered his head, not in pride, but in recognition. "Pressure," the master continued, "reveals what comfort conceals. Under ease, anyone appears disciplined. Under strain, only structure remains." The lesson settled deeply. Skill collapses when the mind panics. Emotion accelerates error. Urgency fractures precision. But calm, true calm, slows time. Neuroscience confirms it. A regulated nervous system sharpens perception, widens awareness, and improves decision-making. What the ancients learned through suffering, science now measures through data. The storm began to fade. Rain softened. Thunder retreated into distant echoes. The warrior rose. His body was stiff, but his mind was steady. There was no rush of pride, no sense of victory, only clarity. Pressure was no longer an enemy. It was a teacher. As pale morning light crept across the stone floor, the mountain looked unchanged. But the warrior was not. Pressure had spoken. And for the first time, he had listened without breaking. Combat returned quietly. No announcement marked its return. No ceremony. One morning, the weapons were simply placed back in the dojo, resting where they had always been. Steel reflected soft light, patient and indifferent. The warrior noticed something immediately. The hunger he once felt was gone. He did not rush forward. He did not tighten with anticipation. He waited, calm, receptive, present. The master observed him for a long moment before speaking. Pick up the blade. The warrior obeyed. The weight felt different, not lighter, clearer. His grip was firm, but relaxed. Shoulders rested naturally. Move low and steady. There was no internal noise demanding speed or dominance. They began slowly. One step, one cut, one breath. The master attacked without warning. Not fast, not slow, precise. The warrior responded without. His body moved before language could form, guided by awareness rather than calculation. There was no hesitation. There was no aggression, only response. This was the unbreakable state. Earlier in his training, pressure had triggered urgency. Urgency had created mistakes. Now pressure sharpened perception. Time stretched, giving space for choice. The master circled him. "A strength without calm is chaos," he said. "Calm without strength is fragility." The warrior understood. True power lived in their union. They trained for hours, yet fatigue did not overwhelm them. Movements were efficient, stripped of excess. Each strike ended exactly where it needed to. Each defense used only what was necessary. Ego was absent. There was no internal voice asking, "Am I good enough?" No hunger to impress, no fear of being tested. Attention filled the space where ego once lived. Modern psychology would describe this as flow, a state where self-consciousness dissolves and performance peaks. The ancients called it mastery. The master attacked again, harder this time. Pressure increased. The warrior felt the rise of adrenaline, but it did not hijack him. Breath anchored the body. Awareness widened instead of narrowing. He noticed everything: the shift of weight, the angle of the shoulders, the moment intention formed before movement. Calm did not slow him. It made him faster. After the final exchange, the master stepped back. "You no longer fight the moment," he said. "You move with it." The warrior lowered his blade. This was not confidence. Confidence depends on outcomes. This was stability, independent of success or failure. In this state, distraction had no grip. Fear had no leverage. Emotion could arise without controlling action. The master spoke once more. "The world teaches reaction. We teach response. Reaction is automatic. Response is chosen. The warrior felt the truth of it in his body. Discipline had rewritten his instincts. Presence had replaced impulse. Calm had become a tool, not a mood. As training ended, there was no celebration. None was needed. The unbreakable state did not announce itself. It simply functioned, and the warrior carried it silently within him. The mountain was quiet that morning. Mist curled around the cedar trunks, and the first light touched the rooftops of the dojo with gold. The warrior stood at the threshold, bowing low to the master. No words were exchanged, only the weight of understanding. He had changed. Not visibly. His body, his robes, the sword at his side were the same, but the rhythm within him had shifted. The restlessness that had driven him, the impatience that had fractured his focus, the hunger for recognition, all were still present in the world, yet they no longer touched him. He had learned to move within calm, to act without impulse, to see without judgment. The master's eyes were steady, reflecting the silent mountains around them. The world will not acknowledge mastery, he said. No applause, no recognition, no banners. Pressure arrives unannounced. Conflict, responsibility, and uncertainty will seek to test you. But the system lives in you. The warrior nodded. He understood now that true mastery was invisible. It did not demand attention or admiration. Its strength was measured not in the eyes of others, but in the unbroken alignment of mind, body, and spirit. Each step down the mountain was deliberate. He noticed the wind brushing through the pines, the crunch of gravel underfoot, the warmth of sunlight on his face. Every movement became a meditation, every breath a reinforcement of presence. Distraction, once a constant adversary, had no place here. Life beyond the dojo awaited. People, obligations, noise, and unforeseen challenges. But he carried an invisible advantage. His attention, once scattered, now flowed like a river confined by the banks of discipline. His mind, once restless, had become an unshakable fortress. Even in crowded streets, during difficult conversations, or while facing sudden conflict, he moved with intention. Every task, every decision, every interaction reflected the principles learned in silence and stillness. Observation before action, calm within chaos, relentless attention to what mattered. No one would see this transformation. It was not meant for display. The world rewarded spectacle, but the unbroken warrior knew that the ultimate victories were internal, unseen, yet absolute. As the sun rose higher, illuminating valleys and villages below, the warrior took a final breath. Calm, present, undistracted. The mountains faded behind him, but the path remained. Not in the dojo, not in rituals, not in recognition, but in every deliberate step forward. Mastery had become a silent companion. Strength was no longer measured by steel or speed, but by the clarity of mind and the steadiness of spirit. He walked into the world, carrying the unbreakable system within, ready to face whatever pressure would come, unmoved, unbroken, alive in absolute presence.